Good morning, Anirban. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing quite well. How are you?
Yes, we're all working from home, right?
Yes.
So adjusting to the new reality, and New York seems to be the most epicenter now. But yeah, we'll get through. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's the hope and that's what all this is for getting through. But this is a 30-minute webinar, so let's get right into it.
yeah, yeah.
So hi everyone. My name is Anirban. I'm the marketing lead for Web Spiders, and with me is Sid Jhunjhunwala, the CEO of Web Spiders. And maybe just a sentence about what Web Spiders is. We are a digital agency, digital technology agency with our fingers in a lot of pies. We primarily work. We started working by sort of enabling digital for companies with web and mobile applications, and recently we have not recently, maybe for the last 3 or 4 years, we have been working majorly on AI and AI technologies. But one of our main areas is events. We uh, make E2M Live, which is one of the leading uh, event management apps. So as everyone would understand, that events is an industry that has been hit quite hard with what's happening. So I mean, even a couple of months ago, we would not be having this webinar. So this topic was not really imaginable. So we've had to pivot to a more digital way of working, and everyone has had to pivot to a more digital way of working. And we've had to get used to a lot of new things and depend a lot more on digital. And so let me begin by sort of asking Siddharth about why we are talking about events at this time where even business continuity is something that is at risk. Whether events is not a luxury for companies, or whether it is, I mean, when even essential functions are, I mean, people are wondering how to get them done.
Yeah, thanks, Anirban. Thanks for the teeing off. Uh, so, I don't know how many of us know that the corporate spend on events, and that includes B2B, B2C, is around $650 billion globally, which is the same as the spend on advertising. So this means that it's really a large industry, and for many of the companies, including B2B and for large B2C companies who are trying to engage with employees, it's actually almost an essential service, because events really form a concentration of energy. The best way I like to put it is that why is event? So your question is, why is it not a luxury? And what I'm trying to explain to you now is that events is something that's the way of getting energy in one place, right? It helps the energy come together in one place. It helps the networking to a level where it's not possible on a day-to-day basis. It just makes things happen. So a lot of the companies are realizing that, okay, this quarter we need to just be in business, and the next quarter we need to start picking up the slack that we've got. But the events is still one of the core missions, whether you talk about HR or marketing. And so events still become a very core part of the strategy, whether it's for employees or for customers. Is
Okay,
that
just to as an aside, I think we've been joined by Stephen from as well. So Stephen,
Yeah,
can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So
Yeah, sorry for the delay. There was just some issues on my end. There was actually a storm here in New York. So thank you for everyone joining, and look forward to this exciting webinar.
okay, could you boost your audio if possible a little, because it's a little bit
Sure.
low.
Sure. Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah, this is much better.
Okay,
a
great.
little more if possible, Steve?
Okay, let me turn it up just a little bit more. Is this better? Is this better?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
great.
this is
Okay,
much better.
good. So yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining. And I guess let's get started. So just a few questions, Sid. in terms of like the event industry, I mean, how do you feel that, like this COVID-19, do you feel that it has like a real impact with regards to, event continuity?
Well, it's definitely changed. I mean, we have a full house today, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is that, like Facebook has already announced, they're postponing all in-person events for the next 1 year, running up to June 2021. So we definitely don't see the traditional events coming back, at least for the next 6 months, if not more.
It's scary.
And what we were just discussing with Anirban is that, events actually are almost like an essential service for B2B marketers, for B2C employee engagement, and specifically for sales enablement, which is what we are going to talk about today.
Okay, great.
Uh, moving a little faster forward, because this is a short webinar. We were discussing about how there's two kinds of companies, and very simply put, how there's two kinds of companies. And what do you mean by two kinds of companies? Where do we go?
So what we see is, Stephen and Anirban, that the maturity of companies, it's very easy to see what's the level of employee engagement or the best place to work practices are. And essentially, if you have employee events, companies that have employee events and don't, and that's almost like a fine line that divides companies based on their process maturity. And some people ask me that, is it like a training or is it an event? And training is the regular day-to-day, but the event actually creates a finale for the teams, which gives them an unprecedented access to both networking with their co-employees as well as with content. So let me just show you this slide. This is, of course, just before pre-COVID. This was last year, where BT, which is one of the largest telecom companies in the UK, so they had 3,000 people from their sales team globally in one location, right, in a sales enablement event. And this year, of course, all of them are now going online. So the entire idea is that how do you not break, how do you not break this process? How do you keep up with this process to not only survive COVID-19, but also how do you go back, get back up and start growing again? So that's really the theme behind this, Anirban. Any thoughts, Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with regards to like, employee enablement, I mean, there's a lot of features within the product suite to actually do employee, recognition as well. It's very similar to the continuity of your regular standard employee events, such as, recognition, employees getting awards for exceeding certain quotas and so forth. So we do have, gamification built within, the feature suite as well, just to recognize employees. So it has that similar feel to you would as if he was at a live event. So there's a lot of very cool features that's designed to, recognize employees, keep them engaged through, various learning and development through the various session breakouts, the roundtables. So it really gives a feel that employees are really at an employee internalized event with the feature suite that we do have.
Yep.
Thanks for talking about the whys of
Right.
events. So let's kind of, since we've been here for like 7-8 minutes, let's go into the hows. What is a virtual event? I mean,
Okay.
how does it resemble, or how is it different from the traditional in-person events that we are familiar with?
Yeah. So the entire idea, Anirban, is that what we are trying to do is have the same experience of an in-person event and as close as possible in a virtual environment. So what you see on your screen right now is actually a sample agenda for a typical, say, a sales enablement day. And if you see the legend above, the live indicates live video, and then there's the pre-recorded video. What you see as the round table, the one which looks like 4 hands together, is actually where groups of up to 6 to 7 people come together. I mean, 6 + 1, the host, 7, they come together to discuss a specific topic. So everyone, whereas in a live video, you will have panelists, typically up to 10 panelists, and they could be, up to 10,000 spectators or the audience. What you see in the roundtable is where everyone is participating. And then of course you have a social lounge. This is really important for the discovery part, because in all these events you see you have the coffee break, you have the lunch, you have the tea break and things like that. What we wanted to do was have the same experience of people walking into a lounge and then discovering and talking to people they've never met. Now usually you don't get into a discussion on a Zoom call with or something where you don't even know who the person is, like on a panel. So here you discover people, you discover content very much the same way as walking into into the open foyer in
Yeah.
a
Just to elaborate on that, Sid. So, I mean, within this virtual lounge, I mean, it's fully customizable. To give you an example, one of my clients, they're having their venue is a really nice place in New York City. So they've essentially converted that lounge with an image of the lobby, the actual physical lobby. And as Sid is mentioning, while you're in the lounge, I mean, you could visit sponsors. You could actually, look at, the social wall. You can communicate, with others, just like you would with Facebook social wall. So it's literally like kind of a waiting area until the sessions begin, where attendees can get, acclimated with what's going on within the event in this area. It's very nice.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So I hope, Anirban, this sort of gives you an example of how a typical sales enablement day might look like, the agenda.
Yeah, this kind of this covers a pretty this provides a pretty comprehensive look at a sales enablement event, and what we can see. And Steven, since you are the sales and events guy, you're the one who goes to these things more. This looks very much like a live event, and which basically means it has a lot of layers.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like an event. I mean, I could actually, vet and profile the various sessions. I can personalize, my agenda. I can, actually even access resources within the sessions and take notes onto the documents and share that with my team who was unable to make the virtual meeting. So, I mean, it's a very similar experience as if I was really there. Getting the content, engaging with other sales reps, and really just having the same experience as I would as if I was at a physical event.
Got it.
Yeah, which brings me to the tools, the toolbox, which is the kind of complexity of this kind of an event kind of tells me that it's not really feasible to do this on just through video conferencing, because a lot of us, I think a lot of event managers, they pivoted to video conferencing first, video conferencing tools first, and then kind of are figuring out that that's not enough, especially if you want to replicate that feel. So let's talk about that a little.
Yeah, so yeah, I want to spend like a couple of minutes on this. This is a really important slide, guys. So I think for all our attendees, if you want to take one thing, you should really follow this specific slide. And this shows a comparison between a video conferencing platform like a WebEx or something versus a live streaming platform. So let's say something like a Facebook Live or even YouTube Live, Vimeo Live, etc. And then a virtual events platform like the E2M On Air, which is the WebSpiders product. So one is the size of event. So usually in a video conferencing platform, you are seeing people up to 100. The average size is up to about 100. Like as an example, even Google Meet, the business edition, has a limit to about 240, or I believe it's 250 attendees. And events usually, they go up, they start from 200, and they could be 100,000 plus. So we did an event called Electrama in January, which is the largest transmission and energy conference, and that had 300,000 attendees. So that was our biggest till date. So just the size of event matters. The format as well. The multiple content tracks, what you saw in the previous agenda, is just very natural for you to be having 4 or 5 different rooms with that many sessions. So again, that's a big difference there.
Absolutely. And just to add, I mean, with regards to the other streaming platforms, I mean, how do you keep, attendees engaged as opposed to just looking at each other, on a screen? I mean, within our platform, I mean, it's very similar to the breakout sessions, like with live polling. We have a very robust audience response utility where attendees can literally ask questions, raise their hand, and also, access those resources, in real time. So, I mean, just having, a platform such as this, I mean, it's really designed to engage, and also analytics is very important, with how do you determine how many people actually, watched, the session, how many people checked in the sessions, how many people, scheduled it. So we have a lot of tools to help you out with that.
Yeah, we'll get into, I mean, this is a 30-minute webinar today, so we'll show you some screenshots of how, for example, gamification and leaderboard works. Because especially in a sales enablement kind of situation, by definition, the attendees are very competitive, they're very driven, and they're full of energy. So the fact that they want to compete with each other is also enabled, because you don't expect them to be on the screen for 8 hours a day, right? Absolutely. So even when they get off and having lunch, or they get out, they continue that conversation on their phones and then come back to the desks. So we'll show you a few screens that will make it easier. Then things like the exhibitor pavilion, a lot of even the private conferences have anywhere from a small exhibitor pavilion to a large one where, for example, at CES, for example, you're talking about 3,000 exhibitors. So having that virtual experience is very key for exhibitors. Like in the case of BT, just to give you another example, they had the OEMs who were exhibiting. So like for cybersecurity, there was Symantec, etc. And they wanted to coach the sales guys at BT on how to sell and, introducing their products. So that's another great platform that we have, including things like green room. So what we find is that speakers want to practice before they go out, right? Before they go and start talking, and they want to be in a room like a speaker's lobby. Again, that provides that the drinks lounge, probably the most popular use of the product, is it? Stephen, it's for you.
I don't think so. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're putting me on the spot here. You're making me blush. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and it's really great. Like, like you said, with the green room, because when you're at a conference, I mean, as a speaker, you definitely want to rehearse before you go live. You want to go over your materials. So we allow you access to that, and then go straight from the green room right to launching the actual live broadcast. Right. So, I mean, it's very great for, speakers as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, sorry, I'm just click friendly today. I think one of the most important thing is serendipity, right? Discovering both content and people. I consider myself as an event junkie, in the sense that almost every month I'm at an event. So, I know that, for example, in places South by Southwest or others of similar size, no matter how many plans you make, it's so large that you cannot make a plan. And I love the fact that I can discover sessions. If I don't like something, I go to the next room. If I don't like that, I go to the next room. Some of the best conversations and contacts I've had. In fact, we had even a client sign up, the automobile company, Stephen, if you remember. Yes, she was a fellow attendee in a like a group. It's actually like a round table thing, in a group activity. And we just met and I introduced what we did. So that serendipity is great, and that's very hard to do it on a WebEx or a GoToMeeting or a Zoom, right? And so one of the reasons why people like our platform is the fact that, that is being replicated virtually, especially when you're around the drinks lounge or in the reception lobby.
And what's really neat is on the back end CMS, the content management system, we give event planners to really bring that into life, what Sid is referring to, such as attendees can apply hashtags to the profile for discovery purposes. Like if you're interested in golfing, such as you said, or destination or geography. So I can vet people's profiles and then send them a direct message within the app platform, and maybe potentially set up a meeting later. So we give you that option as well for discovery.
And the last two parts, coming to the event model, at least most of the, we usually work with medium-sized to large companies and lots of event agencies. And what we've seen is that is usually not just one event in a year. Some of them do as many as 200-300 events a year. To the point that every day of the year, every day they have an event somewhere in the world. So this multiple event model helping you get the fact that you can have one attendee, get his analytics across the year, see his behavior to get his personalized agenda, things of that nature, very enterprise focused, but really valuable. And I think that's why if you see from one thing, of course, is that the relative cost, some of the video conferencing platforms come, very, very cost effective today, and then live streaming. So from a cost perspective, you need to prepare, of course, for a virtual event platform, which is almost like your entire training academy, or I would say like a marketing platform. It's not just a tool that you use for a moment and you get off it. It's really if you're using it for customers, it's a marketing platform. If you're using it for employees, then it's really your training academy. That's how it's positioned.
Well, I think that's really imperative as well, Sid. I mean, if you recall, Zoom is going under, kind of fire right now with regards to security purposes. And one of the things that's imperative working with an organization like us, this is why a lot of Fortune 500 and banks work with us, is because we're very secure. We're GDPR compliant, Service on Chip 2 certified. So it's a secure app where you don't have to worry about, any information being breached, such as going on with, other streaming platforms that you have to worry about.
Okay, Anirban, that was
that was a long one, but I mean, we briefly touched on this, but we already have a question from Christina, who asks, what does the exhibit hall look like and what can my exhibitors expect? So
okay, let me jump to that.
Yeah, okay, let's jump to that.
Yeah, we will jump to that. So guys, people who are attending, feel free. We rather have a discussion which is collaborative. So this is what we are talking about, a virtual booth area, right? So you're looking at companies. You can further, filter them based on type of industry or the name, right? And then when you go into a specific booth, just like a regular booth, you get the brochure, you can see the video. And then if the event staff is available, then you can actually get into a video call or a chat with them right away. At the same time, you can actually download or email yourself the brochures and the video link. So it remains with you, you get it, and then you can put it in your own CRM or file it away. So you can chat with them, you can video, and as well as you can watch the pre-recorded videos that the booths have.
That's similar to a real event, Christina. You could also categorize the sponsors and exhibitors as well, such as being gold, silver, and bronze as well,
right,
for search filters.
Yeah. So people monetize by different categories. So you can do that. You can even have the traditional concept of smaller booths, larger booths. So based on your sponsorship level, you could allocate, say, a 3x3 sort of booth, and then you can have larger booths. Yeah. So
there's also room for branding real estate as well, just real quick. We offer, banner ads where sponsors can have banners that's clickable that go straight to the website. So there's various opportunities for real estate branding.
And that, beyond the standard one, professional services. So what we do is for very complex things, we actually do 3D renditions, which are custom. So that part is not like, we have few templates right off the bat. You don't need any extra effort. But if you need a very custom 3D, then we have a 3D team with the professional services that help you get it done. Does that help, Anirban?
Yeah, that's quite comprehensive. Crystal wants to know how E2M on air is different from WebEx events.
So when you're talking about, so let me actually run. So I'm not familiar if WebEx events is a new offering. I don't see them a lot. But one of the things is that E2M has been around for nearly 7 years as an event engagement platform. So let me actually just jump into.
We give you the ability to integrate with any of your existing CRMs as well. So if you're using, let's say, Cvent as a plugin, we can plug it seamlessly into our app. If you have SSO, we can do that, seamlessly. So I mean, I'll continue.
So this one, what we're trying to say is that this actually provides, the core value add is not so much the video. The video works great; it's very scalable. But the core value add is the engagement that you drive with the attendees. So as an example, you have a planet scale social media system within the app, so that it's on the app as well as on the web, so that as they move, they use that. This is probably the most often used platform or module within the whole system. We see that being used very rapidly. Tons of customers from, we've had Arrow Electronics, and there are lots of other customers that we potentially cannot name right now because of the traditional NDAs and stuff like that. Meeting module, you have the one-to-one messaging, which is live as well as video. The polls, so we have multiple forms of poll. Is probably the most extensive polls you'll get. A lot of our customers say that it's hard to see the kind of options that you get for your polls. And again, these are load tested, so we saw that how in 50 seconds over 300,000 votes, and how the system was able to do that. So this is hosted on YouTube. The Q&A with the upvoting feature. So you see the upvotes here, for example. And let me also show you, for example, the game store. So as an example, having quiz trivia is one of the most popular. Scavenger hunt is not applicable for virtual events, but for example, make a friend is really popular. What we do is we make them, go and say hi and exchange notes with other attendees, and then you can put points for every action they did, and then it gets up into something like this, right, with the leaderboard.
And everything, I just wanted to add that everything is customizable. It's not just what you see, what you get. Because
customizable from a point that you don't need developers. There is a very extensive CMS which can be configured, so you don't really need to get into design or developers. But from the CMS itself, the entire look, things can be switched on and off. So that's what comes out of the back. Yeah.
Absolutely. So every event essentially could be customized to what you want. So if you have an employee recognition type of event where you wouldn't have exhibitors, we give you the option to turn certain things on and off from the back end. So you can customize each event to what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, since we're talking about engagement, the next question from Matthew is particularly pertinent. So Matthew wants to know that, Matthew says that lunch or appetizers are a nice draw for a 3-4 hour in-person event. Moving to a, say, 2 to 3 hour virtual event, how have we solved that aspect? Do we provide gift cards that people can enjoy lunch or a dinner or light dinner? And he also wants to know, this is, I guess, a continuation of the engagement aspect. He wants to know if we can do scavenger hunts where attendees visit all the exhibitors, or rather a passport program where if they visit all the exhibitors, they are entered for a chance to win. So gamification at a virtual level, I would say.
Yeah. So that we have the exhibitor and the attendee baked right into the product. So you in the control panel, you can set how many check-ins. So the way we do it is as you check in with the exhibitor, or you say hi and get into a messaging with the attendee. And then you can define how many people you need as a minimum and how many points will that get. So we have a preset. Usually you get 3 points, for example, for it. So we have a preset. And so exhibitor and attendee is right off the bat. And then that instantly reflects on that. So what we've seen really motivating, and this has been very surprising, Matthew, is that people are essentially, we've had VPs of some of the largest banks in the country really motivated when it comes to this. People really get competitive, and we assign points for everything. So as an example, you could have things like, going into a session, asking questions, all of that can come under the point system. So yeah.
And just to answer your question directly with regards to, the lunch, how is a way that you can do this virtually where attendees can, actually, get some lunch, you know, as you would in a physical event. So we have a notification center. Within the notifications, you can segregate them to individual attendees or to the entire attendee base or to groups. Within that notifications, you can embed maybe like a URL hyperlink that has maybe a Grubhub code, so they could actually, you know, get food that you guys purchase by just clicking on that notification link. So that's a creative way that you could essentially do that as well. If you guys,
yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, oh, I was actually, yeah. So yeah, we don't have an inbuilt sort of you know, lunch module. I mean, with the drinks, what we're doing is people are getting their own drinks. This has been very popular. People are having the drinks, but in the case of, you know, gifts and options, we embed it with the notification. So that's how you would do that. And you can pre-schedule the notification. You can you know, so it's a white glove service. We set it up all for you. So as an example, you can have multiple parameters. So when somebody gets so and so on the leaderboard, do that. When somebody has achieved so many points, do that, and they automatically get those notifications as you know, as the day moves on. But thanks for all these questions, guys. It's really amazing, really engaging. Yeah.
Yeah, this has been very engaging and kind of quite. It's taken us to quite a few places that we would have touched already, but it's quite organically. It happened quite organically, which is fun.
Yeah.
So I guess we've kind of hit the 30-minute mark. So we've kind of hit the main topics as well, the topics of engagement and the topic of video and the types of video we can do, the tool can do. So just a second, we have a few other questions. Okay, Crystal wants to know if we can email out a copy of the deck, and even Christina wants to know that. So that's a question.
So
that
to give you guys insight, you know, thanks again for attending. So I'll be sending information with regards to this this document that we're sharing right here to everyone. And I would recommend, if you guys would like a personal, you know, one-on-one demo where we could actually focus precisionally on what you're looking for, I'd be more than happy to get that set up for you.
Yeah. No, so this is you know, we were actually working on the virtual part of E2M for the, you know, for the over last 6 months as part of the roadmap. We never knew that we would have to expedite this so soon. And the way it looks as is that it's going to be like this for at least a year, if not more. Most of us are in denial phase, I think, that it won't happen. But we've already seen large companies announcing postponing all events to 2021. So you know, virtual is really the way to go. Yeah.
And one thing even I would like to point out is that E2M On Air is not a video conferencing tool empowered or expanded to work for events. Rather, it's a very mature event in use for 7 years that has now includes multiple options to incorporate video and virtual into the process and into events. So that's I think that's a big difference, because it's a showcase of our approach. It's events first, and then we know events, so and then we've gone to video.
And not only do we know events, I mean, just look at us as an extension of your organization. I mean, with our support system, I mean, we literally hold your hand through the entire process, thoroughly train you on the back end CMS. And we also have options, as Sid mentioned, as, you know, a full 100% white glove service where we would take it from beginning and end, and you wouldn't have to do anything. So we do have, you know, various support options available, and look at us as an extension of your events team.
Okay, so with that, we'll be wrapping up unless somebody has any other questions.
So let's send the slides, guys, the deck to everybody. And thanks so much for being here. You know, stay safe. And we hope to catch up virtually. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Anirban.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Sure.